Okay, the channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Woohoo!
Dragons and Dungeons.
Dragons and Dragon. What?
Well, we chased off a dragon last time.
Yeah, no dragons, just dungeons. Wait, this isn't better.
Well, we'll see. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I'm the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Mark Kilfoyle as Vertigo or Nedry or something.
Or maybe just a question. Looking for an answer.
Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn.
Good evening.
Starla Hutchton as Carolina Swift.
Hello, friends.
And Jenny Meltzer as Zaylene.
Hello from the darkness.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
When last we left our heroes, the Pocket Protectors, in search of yet another component of this mysterious machine that they are trying to assemble, have taken up the offer of a Yugoloth named Arcarix. I have it written down, Arcarix, who has told them that he knows where they can find the component and he will lead them to it so long as they also help him retrieve a different artifact from the same location. And so you have all now traveled together to the elemental plane of Ooze, which is located on the elemental planes on the border between the elemental plane of water and the elemental plane of earth. You have been told that there is a swamp in the elemental plane of Ooze where anything thrown into it will not be recoverable again for 100 years, but Akaris says he knows how to get something sooner. So you made your way to this endless apparent swamp, and you were making your way in the direction that Akaris was telling you to go when all of a sudden a black dragon attacked, and attacked by dropping oozes on you. And there was a brief quarrel? No. Fracas. How about that? Where after demonstrating to the dragon that you were a little bit more than he had bargained for, he flew away, basically, threatening that he controls this territory, at the same time that he was clearly retreating. But so now you are ready to continue your journey here. You had previously been traveling with only Akaris on the outside of the tower, and the rest of you sort of being carried along inside, but the hazard of that approach was apparently that it presents as a single traveler traveling by themselves to anyone who might be watching, and made him seem more vulnerable than the group would have indicated. So I think he looks to the rest of you and says, "So, now that that's been dealt with, do you wish to continue our previous arrangements? We have another hour or so before we reach the village."
Are there likely to be other dragons or things along the way?
I mean, it's possible. I didn't know about that one. It wasn't here, or at least it did not attack when I last passed through this area.
Make some notes then.
There are hazards in this swamp for sure. Dangerous. A dangerous place for travelers who are not skilled in magic or combat in the way that you are.
Somewhat dangerous even then, it seems.
Well, indeed, but certainly anyone less skilled than you might have been destroyed by that dragon rather than simply harassed. So, shall we be going?
Yeah. Let's get to marching.
So the question was, are you getting back in the tower to do it the way you were before, or are you actually outside walking that time? That was the
Oh, I
question.
thought he said, "Do you want to continue with our deal?" Which I didn't
No,
understand why we
the
would.
arrangements that I mentioned before were the way we were traveling. I had not presumed that it was even a question that you would be going back on the bargain that we made.
Into the tower.
Into the tower.
So
I think I'll walk for a little bit.
well, I guess as we are getting close to the village, and since you're out now, we might as well talk about what happens when we get to the village. This is something that I had planned to stop just outside of the village range anyway. So, just so you are aware, I will be transforming my appearance before we enter the village because they are simple folk and they may not understand my true visage. So I'm letting you know that up front. But the village is not truly our destination. It is simply built around a geographical feature known as the oubliette. But
Okay.
if you wish, we can stop in the village for some time before we descend into the oubliette. I will let you decide when you are ready.
Are there any bakeries there?
Well, I would say in the way that you are asking, almost certainly not. However, there are homes which may feature ovens which could be used for baking. But it is a simple village. There are no businesses of that nature.
What about the inhabitants? What kind of being are they?
They are bullywugs. If you are not familiar, they are humanoids, but with an amphibious quality to them.
Should we also consider some form of change then?
They
Will
are
we not-
accustomed to merchants from other planes traveling to them, but I am a bit more unusual than you, and so would be something even still unfamiliar. But they do have merchants come through from time to time to buy the things that come out of the oubliette in the normal course of events.
Do they use gold?
The merchants that come know to bring goods for barter. They do have some gold, but it is of less value to them than goods.
What sort of goods are useful to them?
Tools, anything that would not be easily made in a swamp.
Might be worth our time to see if they have anything of use. If we have anything to trade.
They are generally a friendly folk, although I suspect they will be surprised at our appearance at this time, because generally speaking, the oubliette will erupt like a geyser at regular intervals. But we are arriving prior to this latest planned eruption.
When it erupts, is that our cue or?
No, the whole point is that we are going in ahead of the planned eruption.
But it would be bad to be there when the eruption is happening, I assume.
Oh, almost certainly we would not wish to be anywhere nearby.
What happens when it erupts?
An enormous volume of magic infused slime, sludge, water, and muck erupts from the oubliette in volume sufficient to entirely submerge the village. However, because it is a village which has been at this location for some time and populated entirely by amphibious creatures, they are well able to deal with it in a way that strangers who are not such would not be able to.
Okay. I got it. Thank you.
So, when we arrive at the village, is it your wish to communicate with them or have interaction with them, or would you prefer to simply go straight into the oubliette?
I mean, I
Context.
think just go and take care of business.
Well, it is perhaps just in that sense because if we interact with them, they will almost certainly attempt to persuade you not to go into the oubliette.
Do they not like it when people go in? Do they fear it, or would they be
They
worried
would see
for
it
our
as
health?
both extraordinarily dangerous, but also they revere the oubliette as a somewhat divine feature of their landscape, and they are very close to the swamp and its ways, and also the items which come out of it naturally on the eruptions are part of what they sell to the traveling merchants, and it is, in some ways, much of the livelihood for the village.
Ah,
Perhaps we can speak to them on our way out then. You say they revere it as if it were some sort of celestial entity. Is it a celestial entity or a spirit from their worship?
Well, I could not possibly say. I am interested only in the practical phenomena that it presents.
Does it have intelligence, this oubliette? A mind?
If so, I am not familiar with it. What I know is that deep within it, I have contact with certain elemental spirits of a much smaller nature who are willing to retrieve the object that you seek.
And the object you're looking for, too?
Well, that is a slightly different scenario. We will be able to access the ring that I seek directly, but it is a bit. It is something that the spirits within the oubliette do not care for. They do not want it there, and yet they are unable to remove it themselves. And so, in some respects, removing the ring is actually the payment that we are making to the spirits in exchange for retrieving your item.
Interesting.
why don't they want it there?
It's cold.
Did you say cold or gold?
Cold temperature. You
Cold
see,
temperature.
they thrive in the boiling mud pits within the oubliette deep inside, and that is their preferred environment. But the ring that I seek is infused powerfully with elemental cold magic, and it has frozen a portion of their landscape, and it has rendered it inaccessible to them. They cannot approach it without freezing solid themselves.
Okay.
Boiling pits. Anything else we should be aware of?
Well, I feel somewhat foolish attempting to warn or give advice to such illustrious adventurers as yourselves, but certainly I would tell you that we are preparing to descend into a what is under other circumstances the interior of a geyser, and so it is a vertical drop that will feature many slippery surfaces and difficult geographic features inside. However, as the eruption is not due to occur quite so soon, it is less dangerous than it might be at another time.
And it goes off regularly. There's nothing that particularly causes it to do so?
Well, certainly the folks, the bullywugs within the village, only know the outcome, which is a more or less predictable eruption. The next that would be scheduled to happen is more than 2 weeks away.
Now, is this down to a science? Like, is it really that predictable, or is it like give or take a day or two?
It is certainly some degree of variation. However, not so much as this. It would not be due to go off while we are there. It is certainly something I do not anticipate going off anytime soon. However, the exact day or hour may not be quite so precise. this is a people here in this village that, while sophisticated in the ways of the swamp, do not have much use for things like clocks or calendars in the way that outside planes might.
Have we ever
Interesting.
looked at the sky here? I don't remember if we had a description of what the sky was like.
Mostly it has been sort of overcast with occasional little sort of like patches where you see like it looks like it's maybe slightly lighter, like the sun's behind that patch of cloud, but you never really see a sun or a patch of uncovered sky. There have been little bits of flurries of rainstorm that will come through every so often. Everything's very wet, but that's basically what's in the sky.
Okay.
There is certainly a day and a night.
I don't mind resting for a moment if that's an hour away.
Well, I am. So long as we do not take 2 weeks to arrive, I am fine at whatever pace you choose to set.
Well, you said if it's an hour away, you could just go into the tower and we could keep moving.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I would not mind such a thing. However, you do not know where you are going?
No, I meant like he could go into the tower while we keep
I
traveling.
see. I misunderstood who you were referring to. My apologies.
My pace is slower, and here even worse, so.
It is true that my ability to hover does give me some advantage where the muck might get deeper or the boardwalks more rotten.
Is that an innate ability of yours or a learned trick?
Well, you see, we can all do it where I am from.
Is everybody healed up or in need of healing?
I'm below half.
I'm down like 52 points.
Yeah, I'm below
Okay.
half, which is about the same.
Yeah, but mine is like 153 right now with my
Yeah.
stuff, so I'm only like a third.
But some time in rest would be enough for me to regain some power, regather myself, do a bit of studying.
Yeah.
I will
Yours.
say that as long as you are feel that you are able to resist the chiding of the villagers, they are otherwise friendly to travelers. Though, like I said, they might be curious at the timing of your arrival.
I think my healing is now all max. So if I did a 5th level mass cure wounds, that would be 51 hit points for everybody. How can I, where do I double check that? Isn't that under features and traits?
I mean, it would
Yeah.
be under class features, yeah. But I believe that you are correct about that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, if we want to just keep going and not wait an hour,
Well,
I can.
it's an hour's travel still yet remains.
Right.
So we can take advantage of that hour's travel so long as nothing else happens. For some of us to gather our powers.
Okay.
Plus, like it might be a good idea for you to hold on to your spell slot too. Like, who knows what we might face.
Okay. All right. I guess if something happens, that'll be the first thing I do. Is just so that everybody gets healed up. So, yeah, I'm down 29. So, I guess I'll go into the tower with you guys and get a short rest.
And just to confirm, you have supreme healing at this level. So whenever you would roll, you instead use the highest number possible for each die.
Yep.
Level 17 life domain trait.
Oh, so that actually kicked in last level.
Yep. So, is that, is there anyone who is, traveling outside with me? Aha, I will welcome your company.
I'm sure you have plenty of interesting stories that I'd love to hear on the way.
Oh, I don't know about that. You are, after all, Solomonia's champions. You have had many great adventures already.
Yes,
Hmm.
but I'm a bard and I collect stories, so it's kind of my thing.
Sure, sure. Well, perhaps this adventure we are on will become one of them.
I think like as everybody goes back in the tower, except for the three of us,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna start talking about like the Mistress of the Dark.
Okay.
It's just like giving my spiel, you know, talking about how great she is and the benefits of death, you know, that kind of thing.
Uh, he he listens with active interest. You know, like he's clearly listening to your story, paying attention, and asking questions and such. Um, it is the sort of like I think the vibe that you get is it's a little bit like an anthropology professor hearing, like an indigenous person tell about their creation myth, right? You
Mhm.
know, like he's interested, but he clearly doesn't believe it, right? You know, so it's just kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's very interesting. What about this? You know, that sort of
And I
vibe.
have like an answer for everything too.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
every time he's like,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, how do you explain it? I have an answer
Mm-hmm.
to everything.
Sure. I mean, he's not trying to like debate you.
No, I
He
know.
wants to hear, yeah. So, but in any case, though, question about about this is that here and there are these sort of like there's this path where the like boards have been kind of laid to create kind of like a walk across the mud, but there are certainly many patches where those boards have either kind of started to splinter or rot and they kind of sag into the mud, and then there are places where they're just missing entirely. So um, he can kind of just like hover over them. But what, so are you, how are you managing the mud? Are you just trudging on through?
Yep. And then I will just, when I get to the other side, I will just turn to Lane and be all like, prestidigitate, like every time.
The thing that often gets overlooked here is that prestidigitation takes a minute to do, right? So it's not like
I will wait till I get like super dirty. Like I won't do it every
yeah,
time.
By
sure.
the time we've cast it once, we have to
Mhm.
cast it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so in any case, though, I think you also sort of discover during some of these parts where you're having to like really trudge through the mud. I think that you get a sense that as long as you're kind of going ahead and like pushing on through, it's like it's very sort of sticky mud, and it's trying to threaten to like suck your boots off, that sort of thing. But I think you have just a little bit of an inclination that, like, if you were to just stop moving, you might just sink all the way. Like, you might just keep going. Like, if there was a bottom at all, who knows how far down it might be.
It's like when we were kids and they were like, be afraid of quicksand, only
Mhm.
it's mud.
Right. Now, in this case, it's not like quicksand in the sense that you're not just like immediately like sinking dramatically. You don't like fall in with a splash or anything like that. But it is sort of just this sense of like, if you just stand in one place, you will find yourself gradually sinking. And as long as you kind of like keep moving, you can kind of stay more or less on the surface. But, um, yeah, just like there's just a little bit of that sense of like you don't want to tempt it. um, but so as you're trudging through, like I think it's relatively warm and muggy. Like there's bugs around, and it's humid, and this swamp is really just full of like swamp dwelling life. Like you hear insects and birds and frogs and that sort of thing kind of just all over the place. Like what do the two of you sort of like think of this landscape? How are you reacting to it?
Well, I mean, we did go through the plane of fire, and that wasn't particularly fun. I mean, at least with this one, we don't have to have like special amulets or something so that we don't burn up.
Yeah, but
So,
like in the
you
plane
know.
of fire, at least it burned all the bugs. Like there weren't any bugs. I say as I'm like slapping some mosquitoes and stuff off of my face.
Well, I assure you, for your benefit, I did choose the path that takes us through one of the nicer parts of this plane. Nicer, I should say, is a relative measure. I certainly anticipated that all of you would find this part nicer than certain other parts of the plane that may be perceived as nicer to the natives of the plane. It depends
That
on
was
what you like,
very
what you are
thoughtful.
used to.
Yes, that was very thoughtful of you
Very
to
thoughtful.
This
think
part
of
is a
us.
bit more solid and friendly to conventional material life forms. All right, so as you kind of are trudging through, after about and about an hour goes by, Vertigo, Zinhorn, are you just taking a nap inside, or we don't hear you, Paul? Yeah.
Just resting.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, studying, making notes, correlating things, but
Sure.
mostly just downtime.
Okay. So I think as you are continuing to travel, gradually, I think you would become aware that there seems to be just a slight hint of current. Not fast in any stretch, but just a little bit of a sense that there is sort of like a down. You know what I mean? Like in terms of a downhill and an uphill. And that it's gradual and you probably wouldn't notice it, except that just, every so often you'll see just a little bit of like a twig that's sort of floating on the surface of the mud. You'll see it like passing by a tree or something like that. And you are going in the direction of this current. And then eventually he says, behold the village. And you'll see that there are, you can see just through the trees somewhat, you see a couple of small little trails of smoke in the air, and you can see the tops of some wooden buildings that are clearly like up on stilts. It's like, and he would have, Acarix would have at a certain point, maybe about 10 minutes before you got sight of the village, he would have transformed himself to look like a half elf. And he's no longer hovering now. He's walking along with the rest of you.
Do any of the stilt houses look like Baba Yaga?
Well, make a perception check. I'm assuming you want to do that when you're still at some distance.
Yeah. Perception. Oh crap! I rolled that advantage. Sorry.
That's okay. What was the roll?
15 and 3.
Okay. Well, 15 is fine.
So
yeah.
it's like a 26 with my. It would either be 14 or 26.
The stilts in this case seem to all be relatively, straightforward, like wood, probably just, harvested from, the trees around here, is there, there's nothing quite so ornate or chicken leg like in that regard. Also, none of the buildings seem to be quite so elaborately constructed as a cottage might be. They're really kind of more like bungalows, like they're sort of very open to the air. Like there's a roof, and most of them would have at least 3 walls, but they're not like fully enclosed. Um, they're very open. They don't even have like shutters necessarily on windows. But as you approach, Akarix is saying, their scouts certainly would have noticed us already, so I expect that we will be greeted upon our arrival. So if you wish to avoid communication and simply proceed into the oubliette, now is probably the time for us to make our move.
Which means probably need to get the rest of the party out of the tower.
Or can we just carry them to it? And...
I mean, it is up to you. The
I
truth
think
is,
I kind of had the impression that I don't know what to call you anymore. Vertigo, Nedry, that he was interested and wanted to see this. So
He did say we could stop on the way out if we needed to. Was there a time for a short rest
yeah,
inside?
sure. Yeah.
well, we tend to have to leave places in a hurry, so figured probably better to see it on the way in.
Well, I have no objection to that. The truth is that although certainly the bullywugs here are accustomed to this environment and know much about it and are skilled at survival in a place inhospitable to many other types of material creatures, but they are no match for us should there be conflict.
All right, I will knock on the door and pull them out. Be like, come on, yo. We're going swamping to the oubliette.
All right, let's get swamped.
All right. So, as you all come out and you make your way a little bit closer to the village, at a certain point you'll kind of come around a curve on the path, and you'll see that you now have sort of a view right into what looks a little bit like a town gate, although there's no actual doors on it, nor is there a fence or wall otherwise. It's more like just sort of like a symbolic threshold, so to speak. And you see what at first seems like it must be just an enormous sort of central courtyard type thing in the middle of sort of a ring-shaped village. But as you get a little closer, you realize that it is just an entirely cleared area of swamp in the center, and that at the very center of it, there is just like a hole, and it's about maybe 15 feet across, and the sludge is kind of very slowly like draining into it, and that's kind of the current that you saw. Is that, and it's creating sort of just like a very slow sort of whirlpool vortex sort of appearance. But before, like in between you and this, you see what looks to be sort of a little reception committee of several of these bullywugs who are a bit small, say, compared to a human, but not small compared to a gnome. They are medium creatures in that sense, but, average like 5 feet, say. And they are, dressed simply. They clearly have tools, some of which seems to be like constructed of like local materials, but then they also here and there have other tools that are, like metal or more modern. Although it seems like every so often, like you'll see one who looks like maybe a warrior who has what seems to be a longsword, but it is wrapped in like a cloth, which you suspect means that like you're trying to protect the metal from the elements anytime you're not like actively using it, that sort of thing. But there is one that has kind of like a big headdress on. He's a little bit older. He's got a little bit more of the the bullfrog throat thing, and he kind of steps forward and examines you all sort of, like not imperiously, but sort of in a dignified way, and then kind of gives you all a nod and says, "Welcome to our village, travelers. You're a bit early if you're here for the fount."
The reputation of this place precedes it by some distance. It's best to study these things in advance of such an event.
Well, you're certainly welcome to do so, although I think that you will find it somewhat inhospitable in a few weeks.
We'll make sure to adjust and take precautions.
Um, Zinhorn has the highest passive perception, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah.
You notice that, a little ways across, like the ring of this village that surrounds the big central vortex, you see that there is one of these. It's almost kind of like a longhouse that's up on the stilts as well. And you see that standing kind of on the railing, watching this from that distance, is what looks like 5 or 6 Aarakocra, who are kind of just watching with curiosity.
I nudge my companions and point them out.
The bullywug that you was just addressing you kind of looks over his shoulder too and says, "Ah, yes, yes. Well, you are not the only visitors that we have in town at the moment. However, they are here somewhat under unfortunate circumstances. They have
What
been
happened?
well. They are. I might better let them tell you the story, but we are
Oh, okay.
harboring them here as temporary refugees."
All right. Well, I guess we'll hear it from them.
Is
when
it your
we get
desire
over
to
there.
stay for a while?
No, I think we're going to be moving through pretty quick.
From here to where, if I might ask?
Oh, I just put my foot in it, didn't I? Yeah.
I mean, unless you are continuing all the way on to the elemental plane of water, there's not a lot of landmarks for folks such as yourselves.
We like to sightsee.
Yeah.
I
We're
would
here
like to
s-
study it a little closer if possible, so we're
Yeah.
getting closer.
Ah,
Our
well,
friend, our
do-
friend is a student of nature and the arcane, and
We're archaeologists.
well, we have of late become more accustomed to these sorts of travels and journeys due to our Aarakocra guests. It is not something we have been used to. However, we are intrigued by the concept of traveling distant places to familiarize yourselves with other lands.
I understand too that things sometimes are returned from the oubliette. Do you have anything of interest that has recently escaped?
Well, we are not yet at the time of the next fount eruption. So this is why we initially assumed that you were merchants here ahead of schedule. It is more customary that when the fount erupts, there are some weeks where the area is less traversable to those who are not adept in traveling through it. And we take that time to recover and scavenge what has been granted to us by the fount. And then we are able to provide those to merchants who pass by.
Well, I have been known to buy things from time to time, but I suppose there's nothing left of the last harvest?
You are correct.
A shame. Still, I'll remember.
As an archaeologist, that sounds very fascinating.
Well, you are certainly, of course, welcome to stay through the next eruption if you feel you are up to it. But I warn you, if you're not familiar, where we stand right now, we'll be buried in 15 feet of magically infused mud.
Do you have a another space you retreat to? Another village?
Well, you see, we were born in this mud. This is our home.
Oh, I see. You're very well adapted then.
Well, thank you.
I flex my wings and say, how high up does the font go? If I were to watch it from above and
Ah.
to stay out of the way.
Well, certainly, if you're talking about the initial spray, it can go sometimes more than 100 feet in the air. The flooding, of course, does not rise quite so high. However, it does last for some weeks.
The font lasts for several weeks?
The flooding.
The flooding.
The font tends to spurt and geyser for somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 to 3 days.
Okay. So,
It
flying
is
above
quite
it-
something to see, although many do not stick around to see it because it is dangerous for, those who are not able to swim in the mud.
Got it. I think
Does
I
the mud
would
itself
like to
have any
see it.
interesting properties?
Well, I suppose that depends on what you call interesting. We find it quite interesting, but it is our experience with other travelers from other planes that they find it less interesting than we do.
Would it be improper if I took a sample of the mud to study elsewhere?
I mean, there's plenty to go around.
But I wouldn't want to offend.
Well, I appreciate your asking politely. Yes, you can have as much mud as you like. We have lots.
And he'll fish out a jar and go collect some mud.
If you are able to sense such things, you may find that there is residual magical energy in it that is somewhat less than the fresh mud will be when the fount erupts, but it is still present somewhat.
And
It
how
is.
long since the last eruption?
Well, it has been almost a year.
Ah.
We'll add a jar of. What's the name? Oubliette mud.
Yeah. So,
Old oubliette mud.
if you don't mind my asking, it seems in some ways that you are you have traveled quite some distance to this very spot, and yet you ask a lot of questions that I'm surprised that you could have made it this far without knowing the answer to already. This is simply my curiosity. What has brought you here to this place, if not already knowing about the oubliette? Or the fount, he should say. He would not call it the oubliette. He calls it the fount.
Archaeology.
Very well.
We did know about that, just not some of the minutia around it. So prefer to collect firsthand accounts rather than, just reading about it. I mean, books are great and all, but
it does seem
I'd like to hear
somewhat
it from the source.
similar to the Aarakocra then and their pilgrimage. Well, if you are tired from your journey, certainly we have a place where we could provide you some a floor above the mud, so to speak, and we have simple meal that we could provide you if you are staying only a short time.
Our plans are somewhat indefinite at the moment, but your offer is very generous.
Certainly.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Yes, well, how silly of me. I think I was surprised by your appearance. I did not introduce myself properly. I am mayor of this village. My name is Manfred Mugwump. This is the Mugwump clan.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
This is my young cousin, Melanie Mugwump. She will show you to a place where you can rest. And a younger, more feminine Bullywug says, "Yes, I can do that. Come this way."
All right. We follow Melanie.
All right. Yeah, so you climb up a couple of like ladders, and there's some like higher sort of like little rope bridges going between some of these little platforms that they've gotten that are raised up out of the mud, um, and they are leading you kind of over in the direction of where you saw the Aarakocra. And Melanie is kind of just looking at you, kind of like wide-eyed, but like maybe a little bit nervous to say anything. Like she's just like, "Ooh, you guys seem like maybe a little bit scary, maybe interesting, not sure."
We're the real deal. That's
Mhm. But yeah, so I think as you are brought over to what seems like again, it's almost like a gazebo in the sense that it's got like a roof to it, but no like walls. It's just held up by sort of pillars. But it is on this platform above the mud, and there is like a little cook stove in on the platform there. Um, Metal, and clearly got like a fire going in it, and there seems to be like a pot of some sort of a stew cooking on it, and there are a bunch of like clay jars that seem to be have water and or other beverages in them, and a lot of like sort of woven mats to sort of sit on. And she kind of gestures to you. But from here, you can also see that you're basically just like one platform over from where the Aarakocra are. And from here, you can see that there's actually quite a number of them, more than a dozen, but that the vast majority of them seem to like all be like laying down and not sort of like not moving, but like not getting up or paying like any attention or doing anything. And I think with your passive perception again, Zinhorn, you think that probably a lot of those ones that are lying down are sick.
Well, they're in luck. There's a doctor in the house. Uh, I'm gonna go over and introduce myself and see if
Okay.
there's anything I can do to help.
All right. So I think Melanie was about to muster the courage to tell you that you could have some of the stew and the drinks, and then you kind of started wandering off, and she's just kind of freezes. Like she's not following you, but you're not doing what she expected, and she's kind of just standing there, not sure what to do. She
May I ask, is everything okay here?
uh um yeah, I mean uh uh yeah, is it? Everything is okay, isn't it?
Well, I haven't been here before, so I'm not sure, but I mean, the other people here, they're all right? Um,
Well, I mean, no, not really. We're all really worried about him. Um, they they were passing through, but then the dragon wouldn't leave them alone, and then once they stayed a little too long, they started getting sick, and we've been trying to heal them, and we can heal them a little bit, but then they just get sick again.
the dragon, huh?
Yeah, the dragon won't
like
come
to
here. He's afraid of the fount, though.
No, he's afraid of us too.
I'd like to
Oh.
like walk over to the people who are lying down and
Hmm.
just sort of,
Uh-oh,
I don't know, try
competing
to get a
threats.
feel for like, is it magical?
Oh yeah.
Like,
So
is
like
it a curse
yeah,
or
Zinhorn and Zaline, you're both going over there. So it sounds like Zaline is going like straight for like the patient. So is that kind of your move too, Zinhorn, or?
Um, I was gonna start inquiring
Mhm.
if they would like some medical
Yeah,
assistance.
so I think there are some, like, as you're approaching, there are some that seem a bit more up and about, and they do sort of like notice your approach, and they're curious about you, and they would like come over to greet you too. And um, um, the one who has like everything that they're wearing is fairly, like muddy, but one of them looks like it was maybe nicer before it had, been trumped through this swamp for 2 weeks, sort of thing. Um,
Mhm.
But this is an Aarakocra who's got like a very sort of like cockatiel-like features. So she's got like the big, real crest to her, and she just approaches and just says, "Hi there, I'm Patricia. Are you also travelers? What brings you
We
here?"
are, but we are also clerics, and we heard that some of your people were ill, so we
Oh
came over
my.
to see some if there was something we could do to help.
Well, I uh, very much so. If you are offering, we uh, this is not a place that we had ever intended to stay so long, and it seems that there's something in uh, either the water or in perhaps the insects that is causing fevers and intestinal discomfort amongst our people. And the bullywugs have been very kind, sharing their medicine with us how they can. But the longer we stay, it just keeps recurring.
Um, okay.
Has anyone been lost? Have you lost anyone to this mysterious illness?
No one has died from the sickness as of yet, thanks to the healing herbs from the bullywugs. We did lose 3 of our number to the dragon. I don't know if you saw a black dragon on your way in, but he
We
has
did.
been following us, harassing us for some weeks. We were never intending to stay in this place. We were simply making our pilgrimage through the elemental planes. But
He's quite a bully.
uh, indeed, he attacked us, and some of us were killed, and we fled and found that he would not follow us into this town, but now he attacks again anytime we attempt to leave.
Hmm.
We might have a solution for that, but I will have to talk to one of my other companions. But for now, would it be okay if we take a look at some of your more sickly party
Oh,
members?
please, please do. Um, we believe that the illness is mm, not a curse of any or anything of that nature, but simply our constitution is built for the elemental plane of air and not places such as these.
Okay. Um, so yeah, I want to examine
Hmm.
uh, some of their
Yeah.
sick people with Zaline, and also take a look at the herbs that are helping,
Hmm.
and maybe try and get an idea from that as to um, what they would normally
Sure.
treat, and see if we can come up with a source for this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I wanted to take a look at the herbs myself to
Hmm.
see if they were something that was actually making them feel worse.
Sure. Yeah.
That would maybe make them feel better at first, but it was kind of poisoning them.
Understood. So what I would say is we need a medicine check, and that can be you
yep.
can either each make one or one of you make it with advantage since you're both kind of helping with this effort.
I've got +10 on medicine.
Go for it with an advantage.
Yeah.
All right.
So, in just trying to be helpful,
Mhm.
I'm gonna cast because I have with the Dunme deck,
Mhm.
I have detect poison and disease, so I
Okay.
can tell you what it is.
All right.
I
Sure.
think I have that too.
It's not going to
Natural
cost me a
20.
spell slot. Though,
Wow.
so.
Okay. Natural 20. Yeah. So I think that you can tell that they more or less have it right. That what they're getting is essentially just it's kind of just some local bacteria that they just don't have any sort of natural immunity to, and they have essentially just it is probably like what your advice would be is you shouldn't stay here where there are bugs in water that make you sick like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think looking at the herbs and preparations that the bullywugs have been doing, it's clear that they are not magical, but they are like real, actual good medicine. But the problem ultimately is just like, uh, you know what I mean? It's like you could take if you hit your thumb with a hammer, right? You could take an Advil and it would start make it feel better, but it's not going to stop it hurting from if you hit your thumb with the hammer again, right?
Right.
So the problem ultimately is just that like it's good medicine and it would help if they could also get out of the vicinity that is making them sick.
Right.
How many are there?
It's like
guess-
15, but right now it seems like maybe 10 of them are actively sick. They seem like they have fevers. They've got sort of like little crusties around their eyes and their little not beak nostrils, and they're just very lethargic.
Mm, Theoretically, we could just put them in the tower for now, and
Yeah.
Well,
but if
Um,
they're on a pilgrimage, they may not want that.
right. Well, um,
they can't stay here.
yeah.
Like they can't defend themselves against the dragon. So I think my thought, and I am actually gonna like have everybody like around with Nedry question mark there.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And my thought is, since we aren't planning to leave right away and we may not need it today, would it be possible to cast the gate using your book so that they can go somewhere away from here?
Possible, yes, but that is the emergency escape.
What I'll also say with the natural 20 on the medicine is that at the very least, it seems like the bullywug medicine, like none of them are in immediate danger of dying. Like plenty of them are uncomfortable, but like no one's going to die in the next day.
How many of them are there total?
So like 15 total, about 10 of them seem actively sick.
We could put them in the tower so that they're not exposed to the elements that are causing them to be sick.
It also depends on where they want to go. I can create a gate, but only to certain places.
I
Certain
assume that
planes.
you've kind of all gone off like to talk amongst
Yeah.
yourselves and
Yeah.
Yeah.
with him. So what about Acarus? Is he invited to this conversation or?
I mean, if he wants to be.
I mean,
I don't have a problem
he
with
is
it.
sticking with you unless you suggest
Yeah,
to
like
him otherwise.
I
Um,
don't think that we would try to hide it from
yeah.
him that we're trying to help people.
I think he would just say, well, if I might suggest that if none of them are in immediate danger, then perhaps we accomplish our mission first. Otherwise, if you put them into your tower, are you then bringing that tower with them into the oubliette?
Well, I mean, the tower is its own little pocket dimension, so yes and also no.
It sounds as though they're safe here. The dragon won't come closer, and they aren't getting more sick. It would be
And they
much
have the
easier to
source of
simply.
medicine.
It would be much easier just to simply escort them on the way out. And if
Yeah.
the dragon returns, we can finish what we started.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It was an idea that if we plan to like gate out of here or whatever, like we could take them with us or we could open the gate and send them somewhere. That was my thought. That's all.
We certainly can. But for now, we don't know what exactly the treachery is inside that place. If it is. If we do have to leave, we could return and help them again.
What are the odds that we're going to have to book it out of here quickly? Like, are we thinking like 50-50, 60-40, 90-10? What?
I mean,
90-10, I
our
mean, it's
history
us
does suggest that things tend to go somewhat
sideways.
askew from
sideways.
plan.
Horribly wrong.
That's my concern with just leaving them here.
Mhm.
Like we've had to just sort of like bamf out in the past because it's not safe, and if we leave, then they're kind of stuck here. So I mean,
Could we banish them back to their own plane?
that would take like a lot of banishment spells because there's like 15 of them. And like banishment, you can't choose where they go. They
Well, it
only
sends them back to
stay.
their home plane, doesn't it?
A
Not
random
necessarily
location
together.
in their home.
Oh.
Yeah. If they are like if you are in their home plane when you banish them, then they come back. That's but if you like at the end of the time period or whatever, but if you sent them somewhere and where you are isn't their home, then they don't come back.
Right.
That's
You
the
said
way.
something
That's the
about
old
them-
way. I think there's actually a new.
Probably.
You said something about them on a pilgrimage, though. I'm not sure if they're wishing to abandon their pilgrimage.
Who are you talking to it now? I assumed it's just the group,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, to Zaylene
Yeah.
because
Yeah, okay,
she was
yeah.
the one to talk to them, or Zaylene and
Mm.
Zinhorn. I'm assuming that they
Yeah,
they
it was just
said
the-
everything that they were talking about. to
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we can rescue them to another plane, or try to escort them to where they need to go. Or they are no worse off if we did nothing.
That's true, but also have we ever done nothing? And I look
Well,
at Lynn because I
so-
know that she won't allow it.
Yeah, no. If things get a little questionable for us and we have to go, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that we could at the very least send a message or get word to their people that they're in trouble.
Acrix, how difficult was it to open your way to this place? If we
Ah.
needed to, could we come back?
The portal that we traveled through from Bashan was pre-existing. I did not create it.
So we could return through that same portal at another time if we needed to.
It is difficult unless you are able to fly, but certainly it can be done.
Well, we could. I don't know.
I still say we just pack them all into the tower and take them with us.
And
Why
then
not?
create food and water to give them.
It does put them in more danger.
Yeah.
I mean,
We are going
We
to a
don't know
place
that.
where
I mean,
things disappear
I
for
could
100
burn
years.
a gate spell and send them back, but I don't have the 5,000
don't.
gold piece diamond.
yeah, don't.
I would suggest we leave them here for the moment, where they are safe, if somewhat ill.
You might also consider asking what it is that they want.
That is a fair point.
Yeah, I just mentioned that we might be able to get them.
Oh, sure.
of here.
No, I'm
But-
just if you mentioned pilgrimage. If they are pilgrims, it may be that they do not wish to be diverted from their path.
It might be
So
harder for them
basically,
to
they
get
might
back,
just want us to fight the dragon, probably, so that they can be on their way.
or at least forestall the dragon for them long enough to get away. I don't know
Possibly.
if the illness will dissipate once they've gone to wherever they're going next, though. But it might have
That's
a better
not-
chance.
That's not up to us. Like we don't know. In the end, I guess whatever they want is what they want to do, and if we can help, we can help. If we can't, it's just a thought.
You wish to ask them? Or offer what we have for options?
Yeah, we can do that. And like, I will make my way back over and talk to. God, her name to me is Felicia.
Patricia.
Just like,
Yeah, me
bye,
too.
Felicia.
Patricia.
Trish.
I know.
Patricia. But yes.
But yeah, I will make my way back over and sort of like relay our thoughts to her and find out what it is that they would actually want to have happen. Like, since they've been so sick and having this problem with the dragon, do they want to go on? Or do they want to go home?
We undertook this pilgrimage to travel all the way around the elemental circle, from the elemental plane of air through to water, then to earth, then to fire, and back home again. And it was our intention to complete that circuit. It is something done in honor of a band of adventurers from the material plane some 100 years ago that traveled throughout the plains, and it taught all of us that there is so much more to our home than we knew. And
God.
so it is something that we venture into danger in the same way that one of these heroes just dove through a portal and ended up falling through the elemental plane of air. And it was inspiring to us to venture into danger. However, of course, we have found that we got a little bit more than we bargained for in this particular circumstance, and so we would not deny your help. But if your help could ideally simply help us to recover our strength sufficient that we could then sneak by the current dragon and continue our journey, that would be our ideal solution. However, we recognize that we are at the mercy of our situation, and if there is no other path, then returning home would be preferable to remaining here until the eruption and then drowning in an eruption of mud.
Okay. I actually know about the story that you're telling me because see that beautiful person over there. She has told me everything about these heroes that you're talking about. I know all about that guy, and from what she has told me, he did a lot of weird stuff like that, just getting himself into trouble without even thinking because he was just tired of waiting for everybody to make a choice.
Yes, it's so inspiring. He's so
Yeah,
proactive.
yeah, he really is. Well, was. I mean, I think he is still alive. Yeah, he is. Didn't we meet him? I don't remember. Anyway, um, I think that is a noble thing. We do have some business that we need to take care of before we leave, but we can see how you're feeling before we leave. And if you have all decided that you would like to come back with us, you can, and we can get you to a place that will help you get home, or at least well enough that you can travel on your own again.
We were doing quite well until the dragon attacked.
Yeah, he's very rude.
You met him.
Oh yeah, he's totally afraid of us. He ran away.
Ah, well, that is a relief, then, that at the very least he is not an insurmountable foe.
No, no. He just likes to play with prey.
We knew,
Um,
we knew that he was not invincible nor invulnerable due to his avoidance of the fount itself. Uh, the place is magic, according to the bullywugs here, and apparently the dragon will not approach it.
that's odd because usually, I mean, I don't know a lot about dragons, but I know that black dragons tend to like stuff like that. So that's odd. Now I'm really curious as to why it's not keen on coming here.
I,
Hmm.
if I knew, I would tell you, but
Oh, I know. I'm just thinking out loud.
mhm.
Yeah, but I think right now this is probably the safest place for all of you. And if something does happen and we aren't able to come back here, we could try to get word to your people to let them know where you are.
um, I I suppose that would be better if there's nothing else that you can do. However, we are very far from home. Um, it was quite a difficult journey for us to get here. I fear that any expedition sent to rescue us would run into the same struggles that we are facing. And of course, we only have a matter of 2 weeks or so before the fount will do its thing. And my understanding is that we will not be able to stay in the village when that happens.
Yeah.
How did you plan to go to the next plane?
Well, it is a very long journey, but as you travel across, we came from the elemental plane of air, through the elemental plane of ice, to the elemental plane of water, and from there used magic to allow us to breathe as we pass through the elemental plane of water, and then up through the slime and sludge into these swamps of now where we currently are, the elemental plane of ooze. And if we continue further enough in the circle, we will find ourselves within the caverns of the elemental plane of earth.
So is there like a portal between them? Like how
They are literally continuous.
just oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it is quite a long journey, though. I think make an Arcana check, anyone who kind of wants to.
Proficiency in Arcana.
30-20.
Yeah.
30-20.
This is
Um,
it is probably
23.
um it is probably a journey of like months even to get to the elemental plane of earth from here. And they're halfway around the circle almost already.
I feel like it's something that they would call like the Alaric wheel. The wheel of time.
Beware, players. The consequences may outlive the campaigns.
Oh. But yeah, so we are hopeful that it is not going to take us 2 weeks to do what we need to do. So
If I may ask, what is it that you need to do? If we can
we're
help
just
you in
gonna
any
do-
way, then we would certainly like to repay the favor.
I wouldn't mind
absolutely,
killing
I
a dragon.
understand that, but we are here to do a little bit of very complicated archaeological work. So and like I'm afraid we might run into the dragon again, and it would be better, especially with you all not feeling well, for you to just stay here and rest until we get word back to you on.
Tell me if you think that merits a persuasion or a deception check.
Probably deception.
Yeah, go ahead and roll it.
Okay. I might have to start using dice because 16.
16. Okay. I think that she's like there's a little bit of a she kind of wants to ask more questions, but she's letting it go because she needs your help.
She wants to see my archaeological license.
Well, it's a little bit like I think that you can put yourself in her talons for the moment and say, if you've just traveled hundreds and hundreds of miles across something that seems to be an endless swamp to probably the only sign, this village is the closest thing to civilization for hundreds and hundreds of miles around. And you've just said you're here to do some complicated archaeological work. And so there's a little bit of like, okay. But at the same
it's a
time, she's
super old geyser thingy.
yeah, she doesn't seem to take it like in any sort of a sinister way, but you get the impression that she understands that you are deliberately not telling her everything, and she's okay with that. It's it's none of her business.
Okay, I would be okay if she looked at me and was like, archaeology. Like,
No,
I'd be fine with
I think it's more a matter of me and my friends are desperate and we need their help. We need to not make enemies right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, even just in a friendly sense, it's more kind of like, okay, if asked and answered, we'll leave it there. That sort of. But
Yeah,
that she
because
maybe suspects that that it's more complicated than that.
like if she asked me questions
Yeah.
about archaeology, I would be like,
Well, like you clearly gave her an answer that was designed to like end the conversation about it, right? So she's letting that happen.
yep.
Okay, so, but yes, so we will gratefully accept whatever assistance you can render us. We have very little in the way of material goods that we could reward you with, but certainly we could pray for you and tell the story of your assistance. Once we complete our pilgrimage, the stories that we tell are part of the whole experience, and we would unquestionably describe the aid that we were rendered by the adventurers from, I'm guessing, the material plane.
We're the
And I
pocket
whip out the
protectors,
business
and
card.
yeah.
She is delighted, like her little frills like stands up. These are great.
They're like
Hey.
animated now.
Hey, Donna, come here, look at these. And she's like showing it to all her friends. It's like, we should get something like this. These are so cool. Right there. You're handing it back and forth amongst each other.
Yep. They're special.
Can we keep this?
Yep.
Oh. And
If you ever need any help with the pocket dimension,
they dig out
now
like
you
a
know who to
pack,
call.
and they have like a scrapbook that's clearly like wrapped in an oilcloth to keep it protected, and they put it in there.
Next campaign, that card's gonna come back to haunt us, along with the story of the lark.
Right.
But yeah, so
So, we don't really have anywhere else to be or to go right now. So, good luck with your archaeology, and we will await your return.
okay.
Thank you so much for even just helping to. We certainly trusted the Bullywugs. They have been extremely hospitable and welcoming and helping to provide the medicine, but they do not have the strength themselves to fight off the dragon in order to escort us if we wanted to leave. And so we've had few options other than to continue to rely on that hospitality. So, in any case, we'll be here.
We're happy to help. And like I said, if something comes up, we will try to contact you. We do have means that we can reach out,
Mhm.
let you know,
Right.
with sending or whatever.
We have, yeah, okay, never mind. I was about to say they had some sending too, but I don't think they do. Yeah.
So are we like waiting for a contact, or what are we doing?
I don't know.
Are you looking at Akarix, and he's saying like,
Yes.
I thought the
figured he
original
would.
plan was you're just going to go straight down the hole. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
it's
the
up to
thing
you.
about us and plans. They don't
No,
always
I'm
work
just
out.
saying, look, we're not waiting on anything beyond however much time you want to spend here.
Yeah.
Well, I do think there's going to be a dragon that we're going to need to take care of, but in the meantime, shall we oubliette?
Away.
So I will just once again warn you. I do not think they are capable of stopping you, but the Bullywugs will not like that you're going down there. So if you wish to do so discreetly or simply to ignore their protests, I just wish you to not be surprised when that happens. I doubt they will physically attack us, but they will certainly attempt to persuade us to stop.
So here's where the tower comes in handy, and invisibility probably helps too.
Mm. Yeah, we could actually have everybody get into the tower. An invisible person could carry the tower and go straight into the
I
oubliette.
could do this if you are amenable. I can cast that spell.
Oh, nice. That works
Okay.
perfectly.
Mm.
I even my ability to hover will prevent the invisible moving through the water, easily detectable. However, it is likely that the Bullywugs, who are simple and in their ways, but not foolish, they will understand if you suddenly disappear that there are a few other places to go.
Well, I mean, we could always make it like we're just gonna walk away, and
I
soon
will
as
leave it to your discretion.
yeah.
simply wished you to not be unpleasantly surprised when they protest.
I get it.
I'm like, I'm
Is
really good at distractions. I'm just saying, if we needed to.
also remarkably good at being distracted.
What?
We is it dangerous to be nearby it?
At this time, it should not be.
Okay. Hmm.
I mean, unless, of course, you simply are worried about actually just falling in. It is
That
a
was my
steep descent. It is a more or less vertical cave at this part. And there is the sludge continuing to pour in around. It is very slippery inside. So it is dangerous in that sense, but not otherwise.
So would it be a good idea to do like Featherfall or something? Just sort of dive in?
I'm not sure it is a straight enough descent for Featherfall to assist with more than the first leg, so to speak.
Hmm.
well,
So, in which case, it seems like it would make a lot of sense for someone who just like hovers
Indeed.
to carry all of us wherever we need to go.
I was just thinking if we either wanted to leave the village, um, and just seem as though we had left entirely, or I had suggested potentially taking a closer look at the font. If we took a closer look and fell in by accident, or at least appearing to fall in by accident, they would not be concerned, or rather protest that we had an accident. And later, when we emerge, we can simply say that we were stronger than whatever came against us.
If you will allow me some advice, I think you're overthinking this. The
That's
intent is
what
to
we
go in
do.
regardless of whether they object.
Right. But if they object, our return to the village and to help the Aarakocra might be more complicated.
Well, if they don't see us, they can't object, right?
Well, there was an indication that they would notice that we just vanished.
Well, I mean, just walk around the side of the building there, or heck, like, we'd go hunt a dragon, and then nobody will question it.
I suspect a lot of people would question the wisdom of that, but we know better, I suppose.
Well, that would certainly be an excuse for where you might go. There are a few other destinations of note in the area.
Well, we could head out for one of those, return invisibly, and proceed then.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
remember to leave the oubliette visibly if possible, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So,
feel it's the equivalent of someone walking behind the couch and doing that fake walking down the stairs thing.
and I'll say this kind of loudly. So, shall we go hunt a dragon?
You hear like a clang behind you, and you see that Melanie has just dropped the soup ladle that she was holding. And she's just staring at you wide eyed. Y'all going to hunt
Did
the
I-
dragon?
I mean, we almost killed it, so kind of just finishing the job. So,
Does seem to be a menace.
Wow.
mm,
Yeah.
If you are able to slay the dragon, we will have a great celebration in your honor.
Okay.
all the more reason.
Sounds
It
like a
might-
good idea to me.
It might just be run off rather than completely killed, but we'll do what we can, I suppose.
We'll try and keep it here.
So I think,
Shall we?
Yeah, I think with this, Melanie runs ahead, and pretty soon, as you're like walking back out of town, you've got like a whole little parade, and they have these plants that look like they're sort of like dandelions when they're the puffballs, that they're holding in their hands, and they go and they like drift around, and it's like they're throwing sort of confetti over you, and you're getting like a little bit of a bullywug parade on your way out. And you see the mayor does a deep bow to you, and then throats his, inflates his little throat sack and gives sort of this frog roar that is, I think, really fairly frightening. Like if you didn't see what it was making it, you would probably assume it was a much larger, scarier creature.
Maybe we just could have gone to another place in town.
It's not that big. This whole place is like, it's
Well,
you know,
Acarix mentioned there were other sites to see somewhere else.
no, he was specifically saying there weren't.
There weren't. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I misinterpreted.
So like this whole town probably has less than 200 people living in it.
And we know that because they're all here
Yeah.
watching the parade.
Hmm.
It's going to make it rather awkward if we don't actually go after the dragon now.
Oh, was that in question? Are we not going to?
Well, I mean,
It would certainly give an explanation for if they just never see you again.
the, hmm. I thought we were meant to help the Aarakocra, but not necessarily. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out later, as we always do.
Kind of nudge Nedrigo, say, we're gonna do both.
I know. We always take the hard road.
All
Someday.
right, so
Simple library. That's all I ask.
I think that the slightly inconvenient piece of this is that they're so excited to see you off on your journey that like several of the more excitable ones are like following you some ways out of town, and so you sort of like having to go further outside of town than you really meant to probably before they turn back, but you are eventually able to leave them behind, and Acarus says, well, so shall we?
Quick,
Anybody?
before anything else happens.
So, I am able to hover my way down the initial descent part of the oubliette. However, there are some elements present within inside that you will need to be there to help navigate and to ensure we can leave with our treasures. So I guess the question is, I can get this charming magical tower into the oubliette unseen by the bullywugs, but at what point should I release you?
I would say like once we would be able to, move like
I mean,
without falling.
if you prefer, I can simply keep you inside until I have reached the point where I will need your assistance.
That works for me.
Yeah, that one.
Or knock if that comes earlier.
Like if all of a sudden there's a dragon in there. You never know.
Yep.
He just feeds the tower to the dragon.
It's the dragon's mom. Here you
Yeah.
go.
In large.
Yeah.
So I think that you all go into the tower, and once again, you are kind of like you can't really see what's happening outside.
You know, there's really only one question that's bothering me right now.
Only
Why is
one?
that? Well, at the moment. I mean, I keep them on a backlog. Only think about one at a time because otherwise it would just be devastating. Oh,
You
right.
wanna
The
know-
question.
Yeah.
Why is the dragon afraid of the oubliette?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Well, they didn't necessarily say he was afraid of it. There could just be some kind of magical field around it that similar to how that thing worked in when we were in Denethor. There was a
Oh, you mean like
the
the
antipathy
yeah.
and sympathy spell, basically. But the thing that trapped me.
yeah. Or
Nearly killed me. It was
there's
great.
there's something even bigger that the dragon doesn't want to fight. I mean, if it ran away from us, that is definitely a possibility.
There's also, I suppose, another question that does vie for interest in the moment. or rather an observation, which I'm not sure if it's necessarily true yet. This is the second time we've entered into a vortex of lost things.
Hmm.
Only the second? At least 3.
Well, the largest ones.
Didn't I
Well,
come
and then
from a
there's
place of lost things?
4. So there was the initial trash disposal. There was the Moon Shadowed Sea, this place. There was the building that got swallowed up by fungus. Let's see. Are there any others?
I find your logic interesting, if not compelling. But, nonetheless, I wonder if the effect of the Titan is multiplanar in existence. And maybe this is just simply another aspect, an echo of that same thing.
Or it's just all a massive random coincidence. Who knows?
I'm coming to accept both, really.
Or we attract lost things on a really big scale.
An angle I
Because
hadn't
we're
considered.
all lost things. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is crazy.
Well, we
This-
are
this-
pocket protectors, so
How long
Hmm.
how long are we in the tower before he knocks and lets us out?
It's a while.
2 hours later.
Well, I mean, yeah, you requested that he not bring you out until he gets to the part where he needs you. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I think that I will take a short rest
Mhm.
and get some hit points back, and then I'm gonna be like, this is taking an awful long time, and I'm gonna kind of like pop my way out to see what's going on.
Okay.
well, if you are taking a short rest, then I will use my Song of Rest
Okay.
so that you get an extra 1d12 hit points.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, so you just pop out?
Yeah. I
Um,
am quite the fool, so yes, I will just kind of
Huh,
like
this is
pop out and be like,
Very
hey.
appropriate. You're just gonna jump through the
Um,
hole, huh?
mhm.
Yep.
Um,
In the spirit of a lark, I
Yeah.
will do it.
so make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay. And
10? Yeah. So you pop out and find yourself in midair, descending slowly through this like vertical shaft that is like within this cavern. You're going down and down and down. You can see cavern around you, but basically you are just suddenly falling. And I assume you don't have anything immediate to hand, like a reaction.
nope.
Okay. Well, let's see. You're gonna fall quite a ways first, about 50
Okay.
feet. And you're going to take 14 bludgeoning damage just from that initial falling. But
Okay.
what you land on is a very steep, slick slope. And so you can make another dexterity save to try to like catch yourself.
Okay.
I think first of all, as you pop, you hear just a little wait, no, this, and then he's receding into the distance as you fall past him.
15.
Okay. You find yourself sliding towards another sort of lip and missing. You strike the wall on the other side and are continuing to tumble and kind of scrape your way down there. Yeah, and let's
That's
see.
exciting though.
I'm sure she's fine.
That's another 12 bludgeoning damage, just from kind of tumbling down this this slope. And then as you manage to, like you land on another thing and you're kind of skidding down, This one is not quite as steep, but as you are sort of sliding down it, all of a sudden you feel an area which is about like maybe 3 feet across just collapse under you, and you drop into what seems like it's a 15-foot deep, like 5 foot around sort of just like pocket. And you are immediately enveloped in acid.
Excellent.
Yeah. And you realize quickly too that let's see. First of all, let me. Yeah. So you've already taken some of the bludgeoning damage.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to take. 15 acid damage
Mm-hmm.
right away, and so you
Okay.
realize that the acid is also starting to like eat away at your clothes and other items and everything. So what would you like to try to do?
That's a good question. You got a lot of good questions.
Yeah. You realize too, as you're kind of like seeing what's around you, that the wall material seems to be like plant-like. You seem to have fallen into some kind of like a carnivorous plant thing,
Oh,
and
so
it has sort of like toothy spikes like pointing downward.
I am going to cast Blight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to cast it on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So the wall must make a Constitution saving throw
Mm-hmm.
of 18.
Probably not gonna make it, but let's see.
Um,
Did it roll? Oh, yep, it did. It only got a 6. So.
okay. Then it takes 8d8 necrotic damage on a failed save.
Mm-hmm.
If it is a plant creature or a magical plant, it makes the saving throw with disadvantage, and the spell deals maximum damage. So it will take 48
Yeah.
if it is magical plant or a plant creature.
It's so technically it's an ooze, but it's like a plant. I'll say it still applies.
Okay, so it would take 48. Like
Um,
8
Okay.
plus-
Yeah. So you cast this spell, and you see immediately that the the wall of this pocket that you're in starts to rot and decay away. And as soon as like there's a hole in it, the acid that's filling this little cavity is starting to pour out into like the hollow of the earth around it, and it's sort of like. And so you are going to take one more like round's worth of the acid damage, but it's clear
Okay.
that you have killed this thing, and the like the flesh of it is sort of rotting away.
Okay.
So you're going to take another 8 acid damage. And are you wearing non-magical armor?
Yes.
It is
Okay.
now -2 to the AC it would normally provide.
Okay.
If your AC is, if that would take it down to 10,
Mhm.
I assume it wouldn't, but
Actually, it does,
okay.
unless I have mage armor, which I did not.
Okay.
I was gonna cast mage armor, and then I was like, I'll wait.
So basically, it has your armor is now basically like unwearable. It's like it's dissolved to the point where it won't even really stay on you.
Okay.
However, the acid is now draining out away from around you, and the the sort of decaying, wilting pocket that you're in is sort of like flooping down, and you're able to sort of climb out with less difficulty because it's you've definitely killed it. But a few seconds like after you're trying to climb out of this, you see a hand reach out to you, and it's Akaris again, and he says, I was going to knock when it was safe for you to come out.
Well, I mean, it's been a couple hours, and I'm like just kind of like brushing acid off of
Yeah. And
myself.
I think as you go to brush, you realize your whole sleeve just comes off.
Yeah.
It's like,
Um,
yeah.
like so many hours went by, and we were actually worried because then it occurred to me, what if something terrible happened to you, and you never knocked? Like, how long were we supposed to wait? We should have discussed that going in, I guess.
Yes, well, lesson learned, I hope.
I mean, I'm practically naked now, so yeah, totally.
So, I mean, I have the tower still. We have some way to descend still, I believe. However, we are getting close to where you will need to have your friends come out as well, and we will need to discuss our next steps.
Okay, we'll just knock this, and I'm gonna go find some clothes, and I'm just gonna be like, I
Okay,
can't do that.
I suspect we will have a safe place for everyone to stand in approximately 15 minutes.
Okay, cool, thank you.
So I think for everyone else, it's like Zaleen pops out and then just doesn't come back right away.
And then when
A
I
few
do come
minutes go
back,
by.
like I don't have armor anymore.
Yeah, well, and I think like you're like acid burned and covered with
Oh.
slime.
Yeah. Hey guys. So it's gonna be another 15 minutes ish. Just saying.
What? So lucky for Zaleen, like I don't know if you have spares of anything, but I have
Nope.
a set of studded leather armor.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice because I don't have anything. I have like normal
Uh,
clothes. That's literally all I have.
Yeah,
Because I
like
have the mariner studded leather, so the old studded leather, it's like okay,
You might
I
need
got
to
a
double check. Is the studded leather? I think it might be medium armor.
it's light armor.
Okay, so I don't know if Zaleen
It's
has
the
the
AC of 12.
Well,
training
clerics
in-
can wear heavy armor.
I
can't
can
they?
wear medium armor because
Okay.
I was a yeah.
I think it depends on which flavor of cleric you do, but yeah. So in any case, it sounds like that ought to work at least.
Okay. What was it? You said it's just plain
Yeah,
studded armor.
this studded leather,
Well,
light
I
armor.
thought it was. You said it was the of the Mariner, right?
No, that's what I'm wearing.
Oh, right.
But so I
Okay.
have the
The
spare,
regular,
which
I
was
see.
my old
Gotcha.
my
Okay.
old armor.
Yeah.
So the acid is bad then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also wasn't like I don't know. It was like a weird, like, goopy, gross plant type
Mhm.
thing, and I sort of killed it. So yeah.
Just for the record, just a little bit of table talk here. That plant creature is known as the Goobliet. And it is a creature that we invented during the Saturday night game where we were playing the Stewpot Tales from a Magical Tavern or an Enchanted Tavern. We created that, and then Nobilis actually wrote it up as a creature stat block. So that's what that was.
Nice. Well, now we have to get our revenge on that team then
yeah.
at some point.
All right. So, in any case, I think as you you redress in your current in your new your new armor, I guess.
Yep.
After 10 minutes or so, there is the knock on the door.
Just a minute, I'm getting dressed.
Okay. So there's a knock. We should
Yeah.
answer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Out we go.
Oh wow, that actually made my armor class better. So thank you, Starla. Like my armor class before was 12 without mage armor.
I can't believe you
And it
hadn't
is
been
now
pushing to
14.
get new armor before now.
No, because like I usually tried to stay out of
Fair enough,
situations where it would really matter.
Yeah.
And I always cast mage armor, which brought it up to like 15, so
Right.
I was fine.
All right. So, so at this point, you emerge to see that you are, um, on again a little bit of like a slope where you can see that off to one side, all of the sludge that has kind of been constantly pouring in has become kind of like a sludge waterfall off to one side, and you're on slightly more solid ground here. But as you emerge, he says, "Do watch your step. There is still room to fall if you were to go the wrong direction."
Is it expected to be a long distance or a short distance from here?
We are close to the region where we are to make our destinies.
Hold off on flying.
So, the this is where it is time for us to discuss the next steps. I mentioned that there are some elemental spirits that can retrieve your item for you, and in exchange, they wish for me to remove the ring that I mentioned, and it is an amiable arrangement because the ring itself is quite valuable to me, and so it is necessary for us to obtain the ring first. So then, once that is done, the elemental spirits will retrieve your item. But you may be asking yourself if it is as simple as simply going to the ring. Why did I need you? And this is a good question, and the answer is it is guarded by ghosts.
Okay.
Actual
Ghosts.
ghosts or
Guys, we're being raided.
Yay!
Viv!
Hey! Yes, actual ghosts. That is to say, the ring was lost in this particular location, and there have been others who have attempted to seek this ring and to claim it, and their spirits have been trapped here as a result, and they are jealous and demand the ring for themselves, even though they can no longer have it. And so I will need your assistance in holding them off while I retrieve the ring.
Alrighty.
not particularly good with ghosts, I don't think. But I can try.
Well, fortunately, we have clerics here that can just do
Yeah.
a thing.
We can do a thing. We can turn undead.
Yes, I suspected that your abilities in this matter would be quite effective against the nature of these particular combatants, as opposed to my own, which is quite powerful in many respects, but is not especially effective against the undead. This is part of what I was doing in Mount Celestia, in any case, was hoping to achieve some divine magics to help my cause. So, if you will follow me, it is this way. All right, so he is leading you down sort of like a cavern that is not like it's not a path, right? Like this is not like a gentle slope that you're just walking down. You're climbing down, but it's not like where Zaleen had fallen above, where like every surface is just covered with slime. It's more it's like everything's kind of damp, but it's not just actively, a slip hazard. But you realize that you're hearing a strange sort of like howling noise, and you're feeling some air movement in the air as you're starting to climb down. And then you realize as you get to a place where the cavern opens up a little bit, there's sort of two obvious like paths that you could take from here, but you absolutely feel like wind blowing from one to the other. And it's a hot wind, like it's blowing from the left path to the right path. And it's just like a continuous, like almost like a wind tunnel.
Hmm.
And it's making this sort of like a howling noise as it goes through. And you can smell, like you can feel the heat and just like the like sort of brimstone, like sulfur pit sort of smell coming from that direction. He says, "That is the way that we will go to meet our elemental spirit friends. And that is the way," pointing the other direction, "where we will find the ring."
Okay.
So he is guiding you in that other direction, and you feel this sort of hot wind at your back. But as you move in that direction, you find that the air around you is getting colder and colder. And as you're in this tunnel, there's a lot more of like the seepage from the various like mud and stuff. So you are sort of like tromping through like ankle deep mud again here. But as you are continuing in this direction, the air is getting quite chilly in here, and the mud that you're trudging through is starting to become almost more like slush. And then eventually it starts having kind of like a frozen crust on it, and the sides of the cavern are covered with like rime, like frost. And it's getting quite cold. And he says, as you can see, the effects of the ring are quite extensive. And so he leads you down this tunnel a few more minutes. And the other thing about this tunnel is that I think there are signs to the astute individual that like this whole area, this whole network of caves must just be completely flooded when the eruption happens, right? It is only drained now because it's between eruptions. Like when the eruption happens, it must fill this entire cave network. And then gradually drain back down again. And so that's why you can see that there is still some slush in this area in which, you know, where the other rest of the cavern was a little bit drained, is because something is causing the sludge to freeze here. And then eventually,
Seeing this, I will ask Acarix about how far from the ring are we?
oh, nearly there, nearly there.
All right. Are any of you bothered by the cold?
Turning to the three others.
No?
Not yet.
Well, extreme cold. I mean, I can prepare something to give us some defenses, but I can only choose one other person, or choose two of you if it's better.
I think we're okay for right now.
Yeah. Let's hold off on that until we get a picture of the situation.
Well, I usually like to prepare, but okay. I just hope it's not too late by the time we discover what the worst of it is.
So you are startled, I think, when you kind of come around a curve in this tunnel and suddenly emerge into a much larger cavernous space. And the far wall of this space is, it takes you a moment, I think, to even really process what you're seeing, because it is just an entire wall, like hundreds of feet across, with a ceiling of at least like 50 or 60 feet in here, where the wall seems to just have sort of weird, like burbling, bubbling shape, like almost like if you could imagine a boiling liquid frozen in some instant, where there's like bubbles rising up out of it and some of them popping, leaving like the little cavity, but frozen completely still and solid. But the entire wall of this cavern looks like that, and it is like up on the side. And there is one particular spot on it where there is kind of a prominent, like almost like a pseudopod reaching out from it. And right in the center of this big room, you can see that there is a glowing white ring stuck right on the end of this pseudopod. This pseudopod, again, also just completely frozen in place. And as you are looking at this, the wind that was sort of still making this howling noise behind you, suddenly like swirling all around you, and you're hearing moans from within this room too, saying, "No, the ring must stay. The ring is ours. Do not tamper with the ring." And you're hearing these moans. But as you still stand here in the threshold, nothing else has happened yet.
So it just for my own peace of mind, it's not the ring that's causing all of this stuff to be frozen and not drown us.
Oh no, the ring is absolutely what is keeping things frozen. However, it will not unfreeze immediately.
Approximately how long are we gonna have?
Well, are you familiar with the laws of thermodynamics?
No, I'm an
Just
archaeologist.
on surface level.
So, as things are right now, imagine that if you were to use a teleportation magic, and you would take somewhere where you are in a land of ice and snow, and you were to carve a big block of ice out of a frozen lake, and then teleport yourself to a warm spring meadow. The ice block that you created would not instantaneously melt. It would take some time.
Is that going to make the eruption happen sooner?
The eruption is not linked intrinsically to this place or the ring itself. The eruption has happened many times since the ring has been here.
What
Okay,
about
so-
before?
Well, it happened before that as well.
Okay.
The ring was placed here during one of these same intervals between eruptions.
Okay. So we're not gonna immediately drown once you take that thing, right?
No, you will not.
Okay.
This place will begin to slowly melt, especially compared to the heat from the other regions. This is the desired outcome of the elemental spirits, and they will sense the change immediately. However, it will not happen, as I mentioned, instantaneously. It will be quite safe for us, at least for enough time that we can remove ourselves to some distance. After all, I would myself be in the same danger that we discuss. I am not interested in drowning myself either.
Can I do a perception check? Just
Well, what are you trying to perceive here?
trying to see if he's
That's
Being-
seems like
That's an insight
check.
check.
front
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
or insight. Yeah.
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 Go ahead.
22.
22 is pretty good. He seems like he's laying it on the line. You know, like he's been pretty upfront with everything so far. You're not really sure what he wants this ring for, but you don't think he's lying that the room is. You don't think that the room is going to like suddenly flood if you remove the ring. You don't
Okay.
think he's lying about that.
Okay.
I mean, we did never be all like, "What do you want this ring for?" So, I mean, whatever happens, that's our fault.
I keep thinking back to we've already had a drop reminder of the heroes of legend, and I'm just recalling their fight with the freaking 7-headed dragon or 5-headed dragon, whatever,
Yeah.
Tiamat.
Well, it was Dracarix. Yeah, Tiamat's like
Dracarix,
the
yeah.
But yes.
that place was real cold. I mean, we came here to do a thing. Let's do it.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. I don't have a map for you, but I suspect, as I mentioned, the the souls of those who sought this ring and failed will attempt to prevent us taking it. My suggestion is that we approach the ring together, and then when they attack, you use your magics to drive them away while I retrieve the ring.
That seems like a reasonable strategy.
Yeah, just as prep as we're doing that, I am going to start with my what is it? Counter charm ability.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and we're gonna leave Buster in the tower for this one.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Okay.
So while I'm doing this counter charm, me and any friendly creatures within 30 feet that can hear me gain advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed.
Okay.
Well, we had the hero's feast, so we can't be frightened.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. When was
Yeah,
that?
I did Heroes Feast before we left.
Yeah, specifically for this
Right.
trip.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess we're still within
Okay.
that 24 hours for sure.
Yep.
Okay.
That was why I had so many hit points.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but
All right. So I think as you all kind of, move into this space, these moans and these voices kind of just calling out, saying, "No, do not approach the ring. The ring must stay." Are continuing, and they kind of escalate in tone as you're kind of moving into the center of this chamber. And then as soon as you are within about 30 feet of the ring where this pseudopod where the ring is stuck on it like it's like a pedestal, so to speak, you see ghostly visions, spectral remnants of otherwise humanoid shapes begin to materialize in front of you, and we're gonna roll initiative.
Initiative.
I'm going to ask for your numbers here in a moment. Okay, that's 6. And I could have planned this a little better. Okay.
Dang, we all rolled like garbage.
Yeah, we're just gonna let them demonstrate what they can do first.
Sure.
We're just gonna be polite that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So what? Nedry.
10.
Okay.
I think they filled in automatically on the. Oh, you're not
Oh
using
yeah,
it.
I'm
Turn
not
tracker.
using the roll 20 thing right now. I'm
Yeah.
something 10. Zinhorn.
12.
Okay, 12. Carolina.
8.
Okay, and Zaleen.
4.
Wow, you guys weren't kidding. Okay, and then what about Ocarix?
75.
70.
11
No, he got okay. Okay. All right. So, before any of you can act, one of these spectral figures is immediately whooshing in with great speed as you see this the translucent image of someone who looks like what you envision here is that someone in glorious, like beautiful paladin armor had been frozen to death, and that is kind of like their image, but even still sort of translucent. and they are swooping in. Let's see, who do we suppose would have been kind of first into the room? Like, who would have been like leading the pack?
Me.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So the first thing that they're going to do um, is you are immune to fear because of the hero's feast. So that
Mm-hmm.
that piece of this is moot already. I'm going to need you to make a charisma saving throw for me.
Charisma saving throw. 27.
Okay. You feel that this ghost is tries to sort of move into you and tries to possess you and take you over. And you are able to summon up your own force of will and force it out of your body, and the attempt to possess fails, and the you get a just sort of a hint of emotion, of a feeling that uh, the what this ghost is feeling right now is just tremendous sorrow and fear. And that is that ghost's turn. While it is approaching you, Akaris has gone straight for the ring. He's got his hands on it and he's preparing to try to work it off, but it looks like it's gonna take a second. Like it's frozen on. He's gonna have to work at it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that is what he's doing. It is now your turn, Zinhorn. You see that there are at least two other notable spectral figures in the room that seem to be readying to move in.
I am going to turn undead.
Okay. What is the DC they need?
DC of 18.
Okay.
And I also.
The ghost that that you just rebuffed does save just barely. You see him like shy away and sort of recoil at the same time that I think you can see in his eyes there is like there's more of that sadness and horror that this realization. You get the sense of recognition from him, like he might once have been able to wield such divine power, and now he is subject to it. But he's not turned. But then the other two, let's see. That one is going to be turned, and
It's also going to take seer undead damage.
well, only if they fail, right?
Yeah, you said it failed.
No, I said it didn't fail.
Oh, the first one didn't fail.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, the
I
second
thought
one
this-
did. Okay, so yes, fine. I thought you were still talking about the first one.
No, the
Yeah,
second
so
one.
both of the other two are turned. They're going to take how much?
They take 23.
Okay. Okay. And okay, and yeah, both of them. You see, one of them looked to be a very gaunt, haunted-looking woman in what seems like it would be somewhere between a beautiful ball gown and like druid robes, but it's kind of like too full of like weird like moth-eaten holes and rot to really be effective as either. But looking haunted. But she is burned by this light, and it looks as though she is preparing to flee under this as well. And then one of them, you can't really get very much of a sense of like what kind of a spirit it is. It's just sort of almost like a hovering bit of smoke that occasionally coalesces into a vaguely humanoid shape. But there's like little bits of rock sort of floating around it, almost like they're orbiting it. But that one also seems to recoil and seems like it's going to move back. they're both damaged by that, but not destroyed.
Okay.
But so that is your action. Did you have any? What else? Oh, actually, you know what? I take it back. That last one is destroyed. That the one that you didn't have much of a shape is just kind of
Just
dispersed.
torn apart.
Yeah.
All right.
So, anything else for your turn?
I'm gonna well, yeah,
You
I
used
can
your action.
cast, right, as a bonus action,
Uh huh.
I can cast Spiritual Weapon
Okay.
at 4th level
Okay.
and um, attack the one that attacked me,
Okay.
the one that's not turned.
All right. Roll the attack.
25.
Yeah, that hits.
20 points of damage.
Okay. Yeah. You see the conjured weapon strike true against its otherwise intangible form. Okay. Great. Vertigo, or Nedry, or whoever you are.
So it sounded like there were 4 or 5 of them. One exploded. A couple
No,
preparing.
so
to flee.
there were 3 that you could see.
Right.
One of them was destroyed. One of them looks like it's about to flee. The other one is still sort of in it.
And Arcrix has climbed up the.
Yeah,
spire
so
to
like
get
he
free?
has gotten to where the ring is. He's already like working at getting it free.
Okay. It doesn't seem to be that much opposition. Okay. Um.
Well, you're keeping them off of him, right? That's the.
Yeah. Just the question is always like, what's really going on?
Oh, sure.
But then they don't seem to be bothered by the cold. The cold here is not bothering us. It's not to that level for us.
I mean, it's freezing in here, but it's
Right.
not like mechanically affecting you beyond like you would be cold. But
Okay.
you're not like you're not suffering exhaustion or anything.
Do we see bodies around us that would have corresponded to these ghosts?
No.
No. Okay.
What you I think I think what you understand is it's cold enough here. If you tried to sleep here, you would probably freeze to death.
Right.
But you've
Right.
only been here for a few minutes.
But why would someone try to sleep here? I'm wondering if people get murdered here or something. Anyway.
Well, so
Can
I'm
I-
not saying you would try to sleep here. I'm just saying that's how
No,
cold
no.
it is. But you
But-
haven't been here very long, so.
How did it die? It doesn't
No,
matter.
it's a valid question, but that's yeah.
I think in the moment he's just kind of looking around, and I guess picking on one of them
Hmm.
feels wrong.
Well, you would know that one of them looks like it was affected by the turn and might be about to flee. The other one is still engaged. So
I guess the one that's still engaged.
sure. Hmm.
He'll just kind of snap off a quick firebolt
Okay.
at it, which is
Yeah.
only a 12 to hit.
A 12 does in fact hit. It's kind of like got a diffuse form that's got a lot of contact, so it does hit, and it would be doing 27 fire damage because you guys are level 18. You have powerful cantrips. However, you see that the fire is only partially like effective. A lot of it just sort of sails right through. Like it does some damage on its way through, but it doesn't absorb all of that energy.
Okay. He'll make a note of that, and that's probably it.
Okay. Let's see. That one was destroyed. So Carolina, it is actually your turn.
So we're down to there's just the one ghost now.
Well, one of them hasn't had its turn yet. It's gonna
Okay.
flee, but it hasn't had its turn yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just do Dissonant Whispers. No need
Okay.
to burn a high level spell with this.
All right. What does it need?
So that's a Wisdom saving throw.
Okay. It got a 14.
Nope, needed an 18.
Okay.
So, go away. Okay. 3d6.
Okay.
13.
All right. You watch as this psychic whispering fills its head, and it just places both hands up to its head and just screams a horrible scream, and it says, "Stop! No!" And it kind of just disappears. I think that those of you with proficiency in religion, I'm not going to make you roll for it, but I think you would know these ghosts are not permanently destroyed, but they'll almost certainly reform, but not right away. Like so, like if they're when you have seen these two sort of be dissipated like this, that means they're effectively no longer a threat now, but will probably come back inside of like 24 hours or something.
We better not still be here in 24 hours, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so the remaining one, now has its turn, but that was the one affected by the turn undead, and so it flees backward away from the divine energy put out by Zinhorn, and you see as she retreats, looking in fear at Zinhorn, but also looking in horror at Acarus trying to retrieve the ring. Okay, Zaleen, your turn.
So is that the only one that's left?
Yep. I think if it had another turn where it's turned, it will probably flee through the wall and not be visible.
Okay, so if I turn undead,
Mm-hmm.
can I still do that? Even
I
though
think
it's
it's
already been
moved more
turned?
than 30 feet away. So I think
I will move.
yeah,
Like I
if
would
you want to
move.
go get it, yeah, you
Yeah.
can do that.
Okay,
And
so
if
I'm
it
gonna
fails
do
the
that.
save, then it'll certainly take the
It'll be destroyed if it's
well.
a challenge rating of 3 or
Well, I
lower.
think that's actually not the new version, but I don't know if you're using.
I
the
don't.
old.
I'm using the old.
That's fine.
Like I didn't change mine or anything. So
I think it's not. It is not. So like what Zinhorn did was the Seer Undead, which is the new 2024 version. So your version would be like it would still be turned, but I think it's a too high a DC to be destroyed. What is the DC that would be destroyed?
it has to be challenge rating 3 or lower.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
But it'll
All right.
still make the save.
Okay.
Wisdom.
Yep.
18.
18.
Yeah, it is. It only got a 17, so
Okay.
it will certainly be further. It is not destroyed, but it is forced further to retreat, and it flees intangibly into this frozen, burbling wall.
Okay. And then I am going to do nothing. That's it.
Are there any more?
Well, I mean, it is now the back at the top of the initiative, and Acarus has his turn, and he prizes the ring free, and he says, "At last!" And as he's putting it into like a little pouch that he's wearing around his neck, you do notice that this giant frozen wall sort of like starts to crack, like, and some like frozen rocks sort of start to fall from the wall. And he says, "Yes, it is as I said. It will not melt immediately, but I would certainly suggest that we not remain here any longer than necessary. I have received my part of the bargain. You can now, I will lead you to the spirits, and you may receive your item as well."
All right, let's go.
The sooner the better.
All right. I think as you make a hasty retreat from that room, you do, if you sort of glance back over, do see that there is starting to that whole wall is definitely starting to have like a sheen of melted runoff, and you see at one point that strange pseudopod that the ring was on starts to like vibrate, like.
Oh, we're going to be fighting that soon.
And So as you're hurrying along, though, you are definitely not feeling that same level of cold coming from your back. Like it was basically it was acting like you're realizing now that all of the cold in that whole place was coming from the ring, but it has stopped doing that now that it's in the little pouch. And so you're suddenly much warmer, and now you're going back head first into this really sort of hot, sulfur smelling wind.
Okay.
Um, and you are occasionally, as you make your way, feeling some tremors in the ground. Like it's not extreme yet, but it's just you definitely feel the sense of something moving. And he says, you know, as promised, here you see. And as you emerge into another cavern that's also big in the same way, it's like almost a match except opposite in vibe. What you see on the floor of this enormous chamber is like an incredible vista of like these boiling like mud pits, right? There's like hundreds of small ones and a few bigger ones that are just like covering the expanse of this large cavern. And the smell is terrible. And it's all of these mud pits are boiling, and the heat in here is just stifling. And you sort of recognize that part of the wind that is really just that you had a hot area and a cold area. It was just literally causing a weather pattern. But in these mud pits, you are seeing and hearing the cheers and exultations of hundreds of weird little mud creatures that are like bathing in each of these little pools. And they're small creatures that like they're no more than like a foot high, but they look like these weird little gargoyles made out of mud. And they're all just cheering, hey, yeah, hooray, hooray, it's gone, hooray, hooray. And Akaris, you know, stands towards for all of them, and he says, "The deal has been struck. The deal has been delivered. Now you must obtain the artifact that was arranged and discussed." And they, several of these little weird, they're mephits is what they are, mud mephits, and they submerge in the little pool, and then pretty soon you see, you feel the ground almost like trembling a little bit here, and then through one of those pits emerges. And rising up out of it, one of these mephits is holding a strange device with a lot of... Shoot, I'm suddenly forgetting which one was here. Hang on. Let's see. I can have this for you in a moment. Okay. Yes. So this one, it has some of the same sorts of gearbox type components on it, but most notably about this one is it has a big lever. Like it's designed to affix to something, but it clearly has like a control lever on it.
Okay.
And it is covered in this stinking, boiling mud, but it is held aloft, and Akaris gestures to it and says, a bargain has been made. I have delivered.
All right. I have.
Prestidigitate that thing before we pick it up.
Yeah, well, does it look like it's heavy or
So the lever is like maybe 18 inches long.
Okay.
So it wouldn't probably weigh more than like 15 pounds.
okay, too much for mage hand then.
Yeah. And I think as you are sort of not immediately grabbing it, he's just saying, well, this has been fun. I've got to get going. I would advise that you not hang around too long yourself.
Well, we need to know the way out.
You'll find it. and he literally turns invisible, and you hear footsteps.
What about with my oh yeah, my
Yeah,
true
well,
sight? I
so
can track
I think
him.
with your true sight, you see that he is hovering out of the room.
Yeah, he's going. We should probably get out of here.
All right, I have fire resistance. I can go pick the hot thing up.
I mean, you don't have to like
Oh.
wade into the mud. It was just like
Mhm.
it was lifted out of the mud, so it probably is hot, but it's not like you have to go into the mud. You just have to take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
We'll just put it in the bag with the rest, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
All right.
And I
Alright,
would suggest
um,
we, well,
Yeah. Why doesn't everybody go back in the tower and somebody fly us out of here? I could also be invisible.
as long as the person who's flying can figure the way out. I mean, Zaylene, you had the best view of all of us of most of the path.
Not most of the path. It was literally like just into a pocket of gross. That's all I got.
Okay, who's got the highest, like, who can do like nature survival? Anybody?
My survival is +11.
Yeah, mine's 3.
Right.
+4.
The ground
Plus
is
0.
shaking
I'll
harder
do it.
now.
Let's go.
The
Yep, let's go.
all right.
Okay, I will hit, let's see, Nedry, you want to hit her with fly and I'll take the invisibility?
Sure.
All right.
Cast fly on Zaylene.
Okay.
Poof, you're invisible now. Well, no,
right.
go back in the tower. How are we going to do that? Interesting.
What
She can
does-
be invisible and the tower's still there, and then she picks up
No,
the tower. and it's invisible.
anything that's on me would become invisible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I don't recall how we've done this before. I'm not sure you can maintain concentration on the spell from within the tower. It's it's a different plane.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything
Well-
that needs concentration, like if you have to stay concentrating so I can fly, like you would have to be with me. So
I can cast Water Walk on you, so you won't fall into any liquids. And
So
it's
that-
not
what if we
kind of
just
a-
use the gate spell and get out of here?
Didn't you want to go back to the Aarakocra?
I mean, we could find our way back, or we could do what we said and tell their people we didn't make it. I don't know. I mean, we're running out of time.
Yeah.
You are definitely feeling the danger level increase as you stand here.
Let's get back up topside and help the Aarakocra.
It's like,
Who's
yeah,
staying
I
out
can,
and needs to fly? I can cast it as a higher
I
level.
can cast fly on myself.
Okay.
And
So
invisibility?
well, not both, but there's the whole issue. Like you guys would be
We
in the
just need to
tower.
go. Let's go.
Yeah. So everybody in.
Everybody in. I cast
I'm making a call.
Water
Alright.
Walk on whoever's staying.
Okay.
All right.
So, everyone else is in the tower. Carolina, you are with Fly
Yep.
carrying the tower.
Yep.
Hastily, as you move with your fly speed back through
Yep.
this tunnel, you reach the point where it had split to go to the one path, the boiling pits, and then the frozen room. And as you look down that tunnel that led to where the ring was before you turn back in the direction that will lead you out, you see advancing through that tunnel, completely filling it, is just a wall of roiling purple ooze. And for just a second within it, you see what looks like a skull, the size
knew
of
it.
like 10 feet across, filling the entire tunnel. And the sludge is advancing.
Yep, we gotta go. So dashing, flying the heck
Alright.
out of here.
Yeah, and I think that is actually where we're going to leave things off.
Meanwhile, inside we just make some tea.
Yeah, I'm in there like taking a nap, not
Mhm.
thinking about terrible
Bake
blobs,
some bread, maybe. Yeah, we're fine.
annihilation.
Yeah. I mean, you knew it was coming.
I did.
Yeah.
'Cause if you
all right.
can't, you gotta.
Yeah. Gosh, I wonder if there was something that was keeping it dormant. Oh well.
See, now I can't imagine what the dragon might have been worried about.
Right?
Anyway, we'll have to find out what happens when we return, not this coming week, but the week after, for more adventure on so many levels.
So many levels.
So many
So
Balls
many
and
levels.
Of
sludge.
annihilation.